Are you influenced by trends? I always think it's so interesting to discover that you're doing something fashionable which you thought was your own idea. Hello there, I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. Come and join me for a day out at the Wealden Times Midsummer Fair. In this video I'll share with you some of the vendors that have inspired me, and if you watch right on to the end of the video I'll give you a general look around some of the vintage and antique displays. I won't show you all the general shopping and the food and drink that was there. Now if you enjoy this kind of video, do let me know in the comments, and you're always welcome to buy me a coffee. You'll find a link for that in the description underneath the video, and better still, why don't you join my YouTube flower arranging group? Once a month I hold a YouTube class, a flower arranging class, where I'll take you through a project right from the beginning to the very end. And also you get additional membership perks. If you want to know more about that, let me know in the comments. Now, one thing I did notice at the fair was profusion of things in blue and white, and here I am drinking my morning cup of tea out of my blue and white transferware crockery and wearing a blue and white outfit. I also noticed the profusion of Indian blockwork fabrics, whether that was in clothing, napkins and tablecloths, or even tote bags. So it's made me think perhaps I could recreate that look using some of my IOD print stamps. I must admit though, I fell in love with one of the stamps, but fortunately two of the friends I went with bought all the stamps that I liked, so hopefully we'll be able to have a swap party very soon. Welcome to Hull Park and its gardens, which are possibly one of the best kept secrets in the High Weald of Kent. A fabulous vintage Rolls Royce parked outside the front door, and then you'll see a little peek of a very colourful Fiat 500. We booked our tickets to the fair at 9 o'clock in the morning, so it was quite a quiet start, and we managed to have a good look around before the heat of the day kicked in. You might catch a glimpse of some of the clothes that the ladies were wearing at this event, mainly long, loose summer frocks, and lots of them with block print details. We were spoilt for choice and inspiration at the Indian Block Print Company stand, and Tess was kind enough to spend quite a lot of time with us, showing how she uses her block prints and what colour combinations she uses. And she did actually say that she has a YouTube channel, and if you're interested in finding out more about block printing and the techniques to use, I would highly recommend you check out Tess's channel. I'll leave a link to it in the notes underneath this video. Block printing seems to be having a little bit of resurgence at the moment. You might think of it as being quite hippie-ish and from the 1970s, but I think it's a sign of the times that we're looking for things that give a unique finish, something that a machine couldn't replicate. That notion of something being perfectly imperfect, with each individual piece that you handcraft being an individual work of art. Let me know in the comments whether any of these particular stamps are catching your eye. Do you like the trees and the leaves, or perhaps something more floral and even a geometric design? There's so many to choose from. And then, having chosen which blocks you want to work with, what colour paint are you going to use? So you can also buy the little pots of paint which you can see stacked up on the shelf there. So many choices, so many decisions. I really wish in hindsight I'd bought the stamp that was the cow parsley, and perhaps that was because I was being influenced by watching Tess use it, and she was mixing two paints together, the green for the stalk and then the purple for the flower head, and just blurring the paint between so it merged from one to the other instead of being left with a white gap in between. She also recommended that you print onto a mat which you can buy through her company. I tried doing this with a yoga mat with the stamps I had at home for a varying degree of success, but like everything, I think you probably just need to give it a go and see what works for you, and perhaps have a trial on a blank sheet of paper first of all. And if DIY block printing isn't for you, don't worry, we found plenty of stalls where you could buy products with that print detail already incorporated. Did you see the candles? There's trays, there's tablecloths, linens, quilts, makeup bags, all sorts of things. Very on trend at the moment. Having made some purchases, we decided to stop for an early lunch. And a top tip here, you can pre-book, and in fact you're encouraged to pre-book your visiting times. So if you decide to visit for the Christmas fair or the summer fair next year, I highly recommend trying to arrive at 9 o'clock. It means you get to park right near the entrance and you have a little bit of quiet time in the morning before the crowds arrive. We decided on an early lunch, and rather than eating at the vendors in the fair area, we went up to the gardens and used their little cafe and restaurant. So we've all chosen the healthy option, and naturally I'm checking out what the china is, and we're eating off Spode. They had some lovely blue and white trays as well, but I forgot to take a shot of those. But I did, after lunch, get a shot of this piece of fabric, which I think must have been a tablecloth. It was very nylon to feel, so not particularly nice quality fabric, probably dating from the 60s or 70s, just seeing that you can look at that blue and white theme. This is popping up everywhere this summer, so I don't know whether this is a new trend or whether it's just something that is such a classic, and I'm now aging towards classic things myself. Let me know in the comments whether you're a blue and white fan too. It's such a serene colour combination. The classics have come from the Asian ceramics that were brought through in the 16th century to Europe, and you'll see it in the Delft ware and the willow pattern too, and of course in the 18th century in the toile de joie fabrics. In this next segment I'll show you what I'm going to do, having been inspired by the block print patterns and the classic blue and whites. And after this section, if you'd like to come around the rest of the fair, you'll have to watch on towards the end of the video. So inspired by what I saw at the country fair, I'm going to see whether I can have a go at creating my own version of an Indian block print effect, but using the very fashionable blues and whites. So what I'm doing here is cutting up an old cotton duvet, so I've got some fabric to practice with. Myself 4 pieces of fabric. I'm imagining I could make myself some napkins to use in the summer. I'm going to use my yoga mat as a nice soft surface for doing my printing. Put a layer of scrap paper over that. Naturally, I'm using some paper that had some flowers wrapped up in from the market. And then take my first napkin. I then need to decide which sprigs to use. So I was very taken with the demonstration at the Midsummer Fair of the cow parsley, and I don't have exactly the same thing. I've got this here, very long, but I could just print up that first section. Perhaps just in one corner, I'm not quite sure. Well, there's this one here. I've not used before. I'm wondering even if I could cut that up and get 2 placements out of it. A bit like we do when we do our flower arranging. I have not tried this one before. I might have a go with that. I shall put that where I want it here. I'm imagining when I've got that inked up, I can line it up with the corner, and then it won't be skew-if. Going with my blue and white theme, I've bought some StazOn ink in the colour Azure. So let's have a go. I'm going to just ink up. Oops. Turn it over. line up the square, the corner with a napkin and press. What do you think? I'm wondering now whether this is a bit squishy because I'm using plasticky prints. So let's have another go using the hard surface. So, corner facing me. In cup. Line up and go. Much better. Reminds me of those vintage linens you see at the charity shop. And perhaps even if I wanted to, at a later point, I could do my own embroidery on the top. But for the moment, I think I'm going to go with just one sprig in the centre, and then to stop my napkin from fraying, I might just do a running stitch on the sewing machine right the way around the edge and just accept that some of it will naturally fray around the edges. That homespun look. So what I need to do now is get the iron out and just heat set it. I'll probably do that over a sheet of greaseproof paper, just so it sets a little bit. Having finished my printing, I've just got the ironing and the sewing around the edge to do. Let's carry on and have a look around the rest of the fair. We've been keeping a lookout for this stall because it was a friend of a friend's, Kathy McClemnott Paintings. I'll leave her contact details in the notes underneath the video in case you'd like to find out more about her and her paintings. I ended up buying a greetings card, and on the stall next door we found some flower arranging paraphernalia. This was such a tempting buy. It is a Dartmouth windowsill vase, or a mantel vase. You can see it's quite small in size, and it's got the original metal pin holder. Now if you're missing that pin holder from one of your vintage vases, I have got a YouTube video that explains how to make your own, and I will remember to leave a link to that in the description underneath this video. So once we got our big buying under our belts, we just took the time for the rest of the afternoon to have a little look round and enjoying the styling and the vintage finds of the other stall holders. I just love the way those cornflowers are being put casually into the vase and they're silhouetted against the side of the marquee. A great idea here for using a mirror as a tray. And look here at the back, that's actually some needlework that's been framed and then turned on its end and used as a tray. A little bit of vintage linen there, repurposed as a makeup bag. All such beautiful things. Up on the shelf there is a metal vase, almost quite trumpet shaped. That would look fantastic with some oxeye daisies or some cornflowers displayed in it, and they would just fan out at the top of the vase. Some cranberry, I'm guessing Victorian glassware off to the side, that lovely pink colour. Tall pedestal with a candlestick on it. Oh, and look at that gorgeous glass jug. That would be great for celery. In fact, we used to have one very similar to that until it got broken. And then the blue and white classic, a lovely piece of transferware. £5, not bad. And of course, it's not only old things I'm attracted to. I love this display here of the block print tablecloth and the wiggly green vase set off by a display of the limes. Such great ideas for how to style things and ideas that you could replicate in your own home. Now this was something I did think about buying, but £9.50. I thought it was a little bit too steep in price, a little galvanised trough container. So we're having a lovely look round this antique store with the woven baskets, all set up beautifully inside. You could imagine you were in a proper shop rather than standing inside a marquee. Lovely little textural containers here from garden trading. Notice the block printing or the printing on the fabric behind. And then outside, beautiful baskets. I think these had a label on saying they were French. They were about £48 each, a little bit out of my price range. Lovely cafe table set here. My eyes being drawn to the crockery here with the little pink flowers. I think these are French pieces. £5 each. And a little stand, you can imagine having afternoon tea served on that. And then these lovely little egg cup holders in clear glass. These were £2.50. And in fact, I picked up a couple of these recently from the car boot fair. And these beautiful pink little cake plates, cake serving plates, I think. I think that's £25 each. So they come in two parts with the base screwed to the top section. And then on to more blues and whites, the lovely seersucker tablecloth. Little compote bowl or stand, that was £12. And the mismatched crockery behind. Well, not quite so mismatched. They are sets, they're trios of teacup, saucer and plate in different colours. Can't quite make out the maker's mark there. Kohlach or something like that with an O-U-G-H at the end. And then these lovely dressing table sets, which always catches my eye. If you take off the little pots and candlestick holders, you've got a lovely sandwich tray. And those set of 6 pink dishes, plates, were £18. So enough of the shopping. Do you fancy another cup of tea and a scone? And then let's go and have a look around the gardens. We sat indoors this time as it was so warm and admired the portraits on the end wall and this lovely vase of flowers picked from the gardens. The gardens at Hull Park were designed by Colonel Arthur Barham, the current owner's great-grandfather, in the early 1920s. So although designed in the 20s, they do have a very modern look to them. And here we are in the orchard where, with no mow May and let June bloom, the grasses are being allowed to grow up, and we spotted lots of wild flowers. So as well as the oxeye daisies and the buttercups, there were some rarer species too. This dogwood caught our eye, and I think we spotted a couple of orchids too. It was the beginning of June, so the season for azaleas and rhododendrons is coming right to the end, and with this hot weather we've been having, you can see that they are past their best. The last few blossoms are holding on underneath the shade of this huge oak tree, and here as we pan across from that lovely dark coloured rhododendron, we might see some bears in the wood. This is a fabulous carving of a family of bears climbing up an old dead tree stump to find the honey. As well as the formal gardens up around the house, much of the grounds of Hull Park are very natural in style, and this particular wooded walk is a real oasis away from the hubbub of life, known especially as well for its bluebells in the springtime, and we could just smell the remnants of the garlic patches that had gone over. And then we walked across the field and through a pair of kissing gates and went back into the gardens themselves with the tall, neatly clipped hedges, a little bit of a rose garden which didn't film quite so well in the harsh afternoon sunlight, and then back through to the coach house area for one last look at all the fabulous outbuildings at the back of the main house. And as we say goodbye to this beautiful Edwardian house and gardens, the clock is just striking 4. So I do hope you enjoyed today's video, and perhaps if you're going a little bit blue and white crazy, let me know how you're incorporating it into your home. Is it the crockery you're thrifting? the crafts you're doing, or perhaps even the clothes that you're wearing. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give the video a like, and why don't you share it with a like-minded friend? And don't forget also, if you subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, you'll always know when I upload a new video. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you again next time. I'm rather pleased with that. Just a matter now whether I'm actually going to hem the edges or just leave them raw. What do you reckon I'll be doing? And what do you reckon to the colour? I think that was a pretty good choice, the azure from the Stays On ink. And if you're interested in sourcing some of your own, I'll leave a link to that in the notes underneath the video.